As irrigation farmers eagerly await the release of the Murray-Darling Basin Plan next month, many have already had enough. Farmers are abandoning their properties in droves near Mildura, crippled by a decade of drought and now unable to sell their fruit, thanks to the high Aussie dollar and a glut of locally produced grapes. About 40% of properties in Sunraysia have now been dried off, and growers are predicting a lot more heartache to come. Guy Stainer reports on the future of Sunraysia.
Welcome to Sunraysia, a land of sun, water and fruit. But look beyond the oranges visible from the roadside and you start to see an agricultural economy in decay.
I think it's pretty grim. I don't believe the dried off properties will ever come back. You know, we're pushing 30 to 40% are dried off. We've got huge problems. Yeah.
Wine grapes are done and dusted. They've had their day, they're gone.
Once glorious orchards are now just rows of dead trees, but it's the wine grape growers hardest hit. Their businesses are literally withering on the vine.
Most operators are treading water at best. The majority are making a loss, and a lot of wine grape growers especially are making a massive loss.
Growers are getting about $300 a tonne for red wine grapes. The cost of production is closer to $500. Bill McClumpher is still pruning his vines while contemplating cutting his losses.
Well, this block is a wine property, pretty much state-of-the-art, as good as I could get it. A new drip irrigation system, all new plantings. But I've just had my contract taken away, and there's a good chance that the grapes will go on the ground this year.
Farmers are getting out in droves, able to salvage little or nothing from their properties. As growers face yet another year of making a loss, many are choosing to simply abandon their properties, walking away from tens of thousands of dollars of infrastructure, leaving their vines dead and rotting and completely overgrown with weeds. And this is a scene that's replicated right across Sunraysia.
Turn left here, Guy.
7:30 went on a tour of Merbein on the outskirts of Mildura.
Now you see the for sale sign here. He's got 12 acres and 7 acres planted, and he's got 40 megs of water for sale there. You'll see that 1,000 times through the district.
About 40% of properties across Sunraysia have dried off. Around Merbein, locals say the figure is much higher.
It's a pretty sad sight. It's a sad sight, and it's bloody typical. It's just everywhere.
Some of the growers who have abandoned their farms are being supported by a sustenance program run by the Catchment Management Authority.
We're just rolling up an old fence that is no longer needed here, barbed wire, and we're doing GPS mapping of noxious weeds and pests.
For $20 an hour, they work 3 days a week, helping to manage state forests.
It gives them opportunity to get away from their properties that are becoming a burden, and it helps being able to talk to other growers. Yeah, it's been fantastic.
But this program is set to be cut by the end of the year, rubbing salt into some very deep wounds. These men have watched their once booming businesses whittled away to almost nothing. Some are now bankrupt and fighting depression.
I'm losing money. I'm 60 years old next month. I can't see the industry turning around in the near future, so if I keep going the way I'm going, till I'm 65, I'm going to be in so much debt I won't have anything. So I've decided to stop now.
Michael Cowling was forced to sell his grandfather's 19-acre farm, acquired in a soldier resettlement scheme.
We end up selling it very cheap, and that's the only way we could sell it. We end up selling it for $62,000.
The Australian wine boom of the 80s and 90s was based on a quality product cheaper than comparable wines in Europe. The industry encouraged expansion to capitalise on the boom, and managed investment schemes provided tax incentives for people banking on grapes. But the competitive advantage that underpinned Australia's wine boom has evaporated.
South Africa, Argentina, places like that, back then they didn't produce as good a product as we did, so we had the market basically to ourselves. But now they produce every bit as good a wine as we do. Australia's an expensive place to do business.
There's now a massive oversupply of Australian grapes, tipped to last a decade.
You've ended up with a supply-led industry, not a demand-led industry. And the situation hasn't improved. There's still corporate plannings going ahead. Managed investments teams have still got bipartisan political support.
Andrew Hudson grows dried fruit and is persevering for now.
If you get a reasonably good exit package, we'd give it away tomorrow, which is something I never ever said I'd do. But the land's basically worthless. You've just got to keep farming and hope to hell we come out the other end.
While it's a grim forecast for growers, the Mildura Mayor says there's still an optimistic future for the town.
In the longer term, there is a bright future, I believe. We need to look at, obviously, more efficient irrigation, which is happening right across the district, and also opportunities in different crops.
Craig Crouch could be the pin-up boy for Mildura's future.
We're growing zucchinis and we also grow snow peas, asparagus and table grapes.
Having pulled out his sultana vines, he's now diversifying into vegetables. The Crouch farm is a family business and Craig has the energy, ambition and capital to steer his father's property in a new direction. Are vegetables the future for Mildura?
I'm not sure if it would be the future, but it's definitely a short-term solution.
For those with one eye on retirement and without a family succession plan, options are limited.
They're talking about bringing the veggie growers from Werribee or the stone fruit growers from Warraneen. There's nothing mentioned about looking after the poor buggers that have been here all their lives.
Mildura is called an oasis in the Red Desert, but for many the promise of a profit is now little more than a mirage.
Guy Stainer reporting there.